This is Nigeria Info.
Nigeria Info.
This is Nigeria Info.
Nigeria Info.
This is Nigeria Info.
Nigeria Info.
This is Nigeria Info.
On his manifesto promises, his campaign promises, and every single promise he's made that he sees Nigeria is going to work for our collective good. It's going to be renewed hope. Nigerians are keeping their fingers crossed. Not a lot of people are holding their breath, though, hoping for the best for the country, because it's for all our good that he works and he delivers. Because if he doesn't, think about it, another 8 years of super mediocre performance. Think about it. Isn't it frightening?
I don't think we can even take that as a country anymore. Another 8 years of the same thing, we can't handle it. It will just be nerve-wracking on everyone.
So, Mr. President, you must perform. Period.
It's promised. So let's hope he keeps to his promises.
All right. Then talking about performance, he decided to show who's the man by saying subsidy is gone, and they got us talking all through yesterday. We'll be looking at these issues and more. It's the continuation of the inauguration, and there's still so much to just unpack and distill from what he said on Inauguration Day. And the good thing is we've got a guest with us in the studio. We've got with us Mr. Jide Ojo, a public affairs analyst, is a development consultant, and we're delighted that you're in the studio with us. Mr. Ojo, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
And
how
welcome.
are you today?
Happy New Year to you.
Who
I
says
wish I
that?
could say that.
It's a new dispensation, Kim.
Really?
It's a new year in Nigeria.
Yeah,
in
the
our
kind of
hearts.
people that Daniel Jaja doesn't like say happy Sunday, happy New Week, happy everything. You guys are too happy.
We have to find a way to
We
be
have
happy.
to find a way to be happy.
Yeah.
Yes, Itodo. We have to find a way to be happy because, things are pretty bad, but it could be worse. So for the fact that it's just bad, let's.
How worse can he get? South Sudan situation.
Okay. You don't want to have that Sudanese experience.
No, but because
do
when
you?
you say it could be worse, and I'm just thinking, how low can we go?
Well, how low can we go?
Because for some people, it feels like rock bottom. For some people, it just feels like nothing much has changed. But yeah, I totally agree with you. We've had democracy transition from one government to another seamlessly. And somehow we're still together.
Yeah. So I feel that what keeps every one of us going is our hope. So without hope, you are suicidal.
True.
You want to jackpot you just lose the urge to live day by day. And that is not what leadership should do. So it can be worse. So things are pretty bad, but it's not also peculiar to Nigeria. When I see people protesting on the streets of France, people going on strike in UK, and across the globe, you find out that, this is, you don't want an Ukrainian experience.
No, not at all. No.
So things are generally bad globally, but we hope and we want to give Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu benefit of that he will turn things around. We just pray, and we should continue to uphold him in prayer, because good intentions will not do it. Good intentions alone will not deliver good governance. The road to hell is paved with good intentions.
Yeah.
So what we look forward to is better governance than we experienced with the immediate past administration. And this can only be achieved through better coordination and collaboration among the three tiers of government and three arms of government. If you read the speech yesterday, he was talking about having to sponsor a bill, job and opportunity bill or something.
Yeah.
So he's acknowledging the fact that he cannot by fiat do that. So he needs the cooperation. And that's why the leadership contest in the National Assembly should also get our attention. We should start profiling as media practitioners who are the strong contenders. What do they have to offer? What's their pedigree? Would they be yes men or yes women, or are we going to, because it matters in a democracy where you have three arms of government. If one is losing steam, the others will run riot.
Yeah.
So incidentally, we have two for the price of one with Tinubu, a former senator. In fact, I just read yesterday that he was chairman Senate Committee on Appropriation, Currency, and Finance in 1992 during his term in the aborted Third Republic.
Yeah.
And so he was a former senator, a former governor. So it's not to practice what he preaches. I granted a press interview this morning, and I said, look, Asiwaju dragged federal government to court severally as governor of Lagos State over issues of tax, over issue of creation of local government or SCDA.
Obasanjo's era.
Yeah, Obasanjo's era. Now is in the saddle. How different will he act?
Yeah.
All those mountain of restructuring, all those mountain of devolution of powers, are we going to see that? He didn't. That for me is a missing link in his speech yesterday. He didn't say jack about whether he's going to do restructuring. What is his take on state policing? What about issue of corruption?
Yeah.
What about
he
issue of
said they were going to
theft?
find a way to discourage it, but no emphasis. Didn't quite build on how
very
they were going
vague,
to do it.
very
Yeah.
vague and veiled reference to those ones. So what is he going to do to oil theft? We have a military general, a major general in saddle for 8 years. Under him, oil theft snowballed to industrial scale. We were losing half of our budgetary allocation to non-state actors in the Niger Delta sub-region. Is it going to be same of same? We see some of the Niger Delta actors placing congratulatory adverts on foreign page. What does it portend? Is it to get contracts, or is it to So quite a number of bouquet of things that needed to be done. Yes, he said the final details will be released by his team in the coming days, and we look forward to that. But for me, yes, there are few sound bites in what he said in his speech. Yes, talking about healing, about unity, about rule of law, about constitutionalism. Yes, we want to hear all of that. But remember, politicians campaign in poetry, deliver in prose. That is the challenge. So it's not the first time. We had this mantra in 2015, change, C agenda, security, economy, and anti-corruption.
Yeah.
Where are we? What are the indices at the time of his exit? And yet he said he felt fulfilled.
Like he's done his best for the country.
Did you know what Council on Foreign Relations, what they said? How many Nigerians died under Buhari? 64,000.
Yeah.
Yeah, about
63,000.
10,000 thereeabout,
Yeah.
yes.
63,101. And somebody said it's fulfilled. I hope things will be different this time around anyway. But we have to keep hope alive. We have to give Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu benefit of doubt. Himself and his vice president had the same pedigree. They were both former senators. In fact, one is still anyway former senator now because he cannot hold the two positions together. Most of you will have resigned. I expected he has resigned from the Senate. You know, he's serving the outgoing Senate, which is yet to be dissolved on June 13th. So that's where the confusion comes from. Not about double nomination, but is it still American?
It wasn't about double nomination. What was taken to court on Friday was about double nomination.
But the double nomination was about seeking re-election as a senator.
Okay.
And at the same time, getting nominated as a running mate. But that was the result by the court. So by and large, it's, we have cautious optimism. And for me, like it is a tragedy of good intentions. There's always these good intentions everybody talks about. Oh, he meant well for us. He meant well. Even Buhari, when he inflicted Naira redesign on us, said he meant well for us. And he now apologized at the twilight of his administration. Oh, sorry for the temporary pain. But people have lost businesses.
Yeah.
Millions of people lost business. They've not recovered. There are those whose health issue have nosedived because of loss of their economic what they survive on. So it's one Asiwaju Tinubu presidency is one day. I wish we can extract the prophecies. Okay. Those who said it will never happen. Why do people stick out their neck?
What people are we talking about who said it will never happen?
Prophets. That said, I recall.
Is it possible that these prophecies were misinterpreted? Give a word out and people take it.
I didn't really listen to it, but there was a particular video of a pastor who was making the round of prophet.
There are about 5 of them.
I know of one who was saying so much. I didn't listen to all of the detail, but apparently people were commenting on it.
They said this against Obasanjo. They said this even very recently, Joe Biden's case. They said Joe Biden would never be president, even when he... And then they came out, God told them, Donald Trump will be inaugurated on January 20. Now in Nigeria's case, so many people were so blunt, so emphatic. They told, go and take record of today. I'm telling you, he will be arrested. He will be... So I was waiting. I was glued to my TV. I wanted to see that moment of arrest so that I look for that church to attend. But why do people do that? See, even where God showed you things, don't grandstand about it. God can change his mind. I don't know how many of you read the story about the Balaam's camel in the Bible. Go and reread that.
Horse. Was it a donkey?
The donkey. Okay, it's not camel, it's donkey. Go and reread that. God can change his mind. So when you go public with certain prophecy, you are not God. If somebody prays about something, even if there's a looming danger and you pray about it, it may not happen. So to that reason, it is not sufficient for you to go public with certain prophecy as if you are the one that will decide everything. So I don't know how those prophets will look at their congregation next Sunday and still say, praise the Lord. We are not discussing that now.
Well, for those who take every bit of the words that come out,
people are gullible. Kim, that's why I'm flagging this issue. People are... I read somebody said, I will tear my Bible if so person wins.
Well, we're meant to have the spirit of discernment. So it's up to you to understand what is being said to you and not take it hook, line, and sinker and be misled by it.
You are discerning. You didn't hear the story in Kenya
The man who said his congregation should go and sell all their property. Jesus is coming on a particular day in April. And
happening in Ondo State as well.
The man who
Many of
established
them
a cult
died.
in Kenya.
Yes,
and then
the cult
they
is-
told them to go on a fast.
yeah,
And they went on a
starvation,
fast
not even 5
starved
day time
themselves,
fast.
yeah.
He said they should starve themselves, that they are going to see God.
Hmm.
God is on his way coming, and he gave them a date. And today, hundreds of young bears
Women
died.
and children died.
Women and children died, including an air hostess with I think, Qatar Airways. An hostess. In Ondo, the one you refer to, it has also happened. So people need, that is why religion.
Let's pause you on that thought. Go on this quick break and hear more from you.
Audio Jungle.
This is Nigeria Info.
Nigeria Info.
This is Nigeria Info.
Nigeria Info.
This is Nigeria Info.
Nigeria Info.
Prophet Elijah, with all the miracles he performed, could run from was it Jezebel?
Jezebel.
Iran. And he said, with this powerful man of God that God is using, why will he run from a mere woman? He was tired at some point. We are all human, first and foremost.
But something really important that Asawaju, the president, mentioned yesterday is the fact that he doesn't see colors anymore, regardless of political leanings. What he sees right now are just Nigerians who he's going to work towards ensuring that everyone, whether or not you voted for him, achieves what he's going to work on, as well as calling out to other contestants that even though they got the right to go to court as aggrieved, but then coming together is what's important right now to ensure that Nigeria achieves the dreams that it has. And would you say that's really an important focus right now? While those who are aggrieved are working on that, we should focus on the way forward and not be held back by what could have been.
Of course, that resonated with me. That's the way to go. And don't forget, former Kenyan president was here over the weekend Uhuru Kenyatta. He spoke in similar vein. Even the president of African Development Bank, Dr. Kimberly Additional, also talked about healing the wounds and coming together, unifying and uniting Nigeria for governance. So, but talk is cheap. Talk is very cheap. How he does that is in his hands.
Yeah.
As we say in local parlance in my part of the world, he has the yam, he has the knife. So how he wants to peel his yam is left him. Because as I said I don't want to mention names of stations here.
Yeah.
As I said on a TV station yesterday afternoon when we were analyzing his speech, I said, look, what will it cost him if he releases Nnamdi Kanu as a show of kind gestures reconciling the country? Because Southeast for the past 2 years have been observing sit at home every Monday.
Yeah.
And that is quite taking a dip on the economy of the states in the Southeast. Coupled with the fact that this whole concept of IPOB and unknown government has done a lot of harm to the people and the economy of the Southeastern states. So I believe, remember the government of Abdusalami Abubakar released Obasanjo from prison, even when Abacha imprisoned him and he was condemned more or less. So if Ashwaju releases Nnamdi Kanu, at least in observance of the court pronouncement that he be granted bail, that would be a kind gesture. And Professor Chukwuma Soludo made that appeal to Buhari even last week. He never did. So this could be one way to demonstrate the healing process. And of course, when you start appointing your lieutenants, you also look the way of opposition. Yes, it doesn't mean you should not form government of national competence, but in finding competence, competent people are in every ward. In fact, in every polling unit in Nigeria, you can find competent people, depending on what you are looking for. So how much more when you are talking of ward or local government or state? So this issue of non-observance of federal character principle can only further divide
the country.
Because, like I said again to another radio station, foreign radio station I spoke with this morning, I was talking about this same issue about reconciling the country. That what will it be offensive, for instance, if that APC lost a mileage, social capital, by fielding Muslim ticket. So people today are saying it doesn't matter. You see people from Northwest still wanting to be Senate president, even as a Muslim. And I feel, no, that is not the way to go. Let's look at what Section 14 of the Constitution says about federal character principle. It says, for national unity and national loyalty. Those are the wordings of the Constitution. So if you want to unite the country and you are saying, Emilio comes, so it doesn't matter, it's winner takes all. You are not reconciling anybody. It's just mere words on the paper. If you are not giving life to those things, release political prisoners. People, I'm not limiting it to Nnamdi Kanu. There could be other people who are unjustifiably detained and their cases needs to be reviewed. Just release them as a kind of good gestures, to reconcile. Then look at your appointment. What the outgone administration did, which many people queried, was the sectionalism and provincialism. That it was more like a Fulani Hausa government. So lopsided appointment, even citing of projects, and all of these things are in the Constitution, that there should be no preponderance of projects or appointments from any part of Nigeria. So when you see this special preference being given to people from certain either state or region, you are not healing anything. Rather, you are making people to dig deep. And I know what the Southwest suffered after the death of Abiola 30 years ago, when people said, to your tent, O Israel. That was what led to the formation of OPC that we are talking about, or do a People's Congress and then the Nadecos and the Afeniferis, they are all offshoot of that marginalization of the Southwest.
Where people now start to think of their region.
Exactly. Their region about, what's in Nigeria for us? If our son won a pan-Nigerian mandate and you deny him presidency, so everybody should go. I mean, the initial fight was to revalidate that mandate that was denied. When it was obvious that was not going to happen, there was OPC, there was Nadeco, there was Afenifere, and they were pushing for what? Oduduwa Republic. So, up till when the political engineering that took place in 1998, which many people have now asked their minds to, that it was a kind of attempt to placate the Southwest that led to the emergence of Obasanjo in 1999. It wasn't as if the North could not have picked it. They have the men, they have the resources, and one of them was in power. That's Abdul Salami Abubakar. But the elite of Nigeria came together and said, no, we need to compensate the Yorubas for the marginalization and the nullification of June 12. So what did they do? They agreed, even though there were 3 political parties, they agreed that they would field only Yoruba candidates. Mark my word, they didn't say this person should be the next president. They just said anybody that is contesting, all the 3 parties field a Yoruba man. It tells you that competence can be found everywhere. So when they reached that agreement behind the scene, PDP did its primary, Obasanjo won. APP then went into alliance with AD, that's Alliance for Democracy, and they jointly filled Olufala, a former Minister of Finance, former Secretary to the federal government under the military. And the 2 of them were the 2 people that were on ballot in 1999. So, head or tail, you have a Yoruba man being the next president. And that's the kind of advocacy I was waiting for people like Obasanjo to make pre-2023 election. That, look, let's do the kind of political engineering that brought me to power. We can do it again. In 1999, this is how the elite of Nigeria did it. Obasanjo had no money to run election. People put money down for his election. And what would have been wrong if you say ahead of 2023 presidential primaries, the people like Obasanjo, like Gowon, like Jonathan come together and say, let's concede power to the, Southeasterner. After all, it was a concession that made Goodluck Jonathan to be president of Nigeria. You remember the whole story that even Peter Odili was a frontline candidate in 2007.
But in Obasanjo's defense, I mean, he's spoken concerning it, aligning himself with the position of governors who were saying he should go to the southern parts of the country, and further aligning himself perhaps with the Labour Party presidential candidate to further buttress that point.
No, it was too little, too late. That kind of gesture starts before primaries. You don't seem to understand. You have a crowded field of 3 or 4 frontline candidates coming from 3 major groups. That already will not get you an Igbo president. What will have given you an Igbo president is before the party primaries, maybe sometimes in December or early January, early 2022, you come together, call a conference of political elite, the heavyweights in this country, and say, look, these 4 parties, NMPP, Labour, PDP, and APC. In fact, you don't need to go the way of LP. Labour Party became strengthened after Peter Obi joined in May 2022. As of January through to May 27, it was still in PDP. So if he got wind that this concession arrangement will go to the Southeast, it will not leave Labour Party, it will not leave PDP. So whoever emerges from PDP will be Igbo. Whoever emerges from APC is Igbo. Between the 2 of them, we will have had an Igbo president in this year. But when Obasanjo became vociferous was after the fact. So the candidates have all emerged. So you want Ebola Tinubu to now step down for P2B. It's not going to happen. They are sworn enemies.
Well, I don't see how it would have even been easy for Obasanjo to pull it off, making all these parties align. I think we had gotten to a point where it was just the APC had showed itself from body language and all their position that they were going to go to the south, but we're not going to micromanage it. So that is to say, someone like Obasanjo should come and micromanage the political party position.
It's not for him to micromanage.
You have to now make it a specific region in the south.
Did you know the mistake Obasanjo made?
Why are we putting all of this on him?
Listen, no, because out of all of the former presidents, is the one that stuck at his neck. You never will know where Goodluck Jonathan stands. You know, at some point, he was even favored.
Thought he was going for the race.
He was even going to be favored to do one term and leave. Now, why I'm mentioning Obasanjo specifically was he stuck at his neck and said, "This is my anointed candidate," and that opened flags against him. People started even querying
all right.
his origin and his citizenship. Now, this is it. He made himself enemy of Buhari administration at some point.
Wasn't he an enemy of Goodluck Jonathan administration perceived also? I mean, if we're going to go to Obasanjo is a man who observes and is quick to write his letter and tell you how it is. Let me allow you wrap up this because we have other issues.
Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying he has no right to his support, please. Remember the question you asked me is about reconciliation. And I'm saying part of how we could have reconciled this country is to have had an Igbo president that will have emerged from political consensus. So if an Obasanjo approaches a Gowon, approaches IBB, approaches Abdulsalami Abubakar, approaches Goodluck Jonathan, about 6 of them coming together and calling the leadership of PDP and APC, say, please, we need to cede power to the Southeast, the way we did for the Yorubas in 1999. And he canvasses that. It's just to be an arrowhead. Was Gowon not at the inauguration yesterday? Have you ever had Gowon castigating or antagonizing any government after him? There are different approaches to killing a snake.
I wanted to come in with Gowon's peculiarity and the civil war. He might not want to put himself out there because there's a lot hanging over his head. The civil war is still
whatever is hanging over his head, that was over 50 years ago, but you cannot continue to say, oh, he doesn't want to. So IBB doesn't want to stick out his neck. So Abdulsalam doesn't want to stick out. No, these are power brokers. These are former head of state. These are the people who forms the nucleus of the what's it called? Is it National Economy and National Council of State?
Yeah, Council of State, yeah.
So if at the level of Council of State, power is negotiated. I am telling you this for a fact. If Igbo would be president of Nigeria, they will have to negotiate power.
But in all of this, would you say that there was any difference from after Obasanjo took over power up until 2007? Did he change anything pre-1999? And if that were to be the case, wherein for every 8 years or every election season we cede power to a specific region, so they feel like a part of the country right now, would that make any difference in the grand scheme of things? And seeing that right now it's gone to the south, it's gone to Tinubu, we put so much pressure on the federal government. The states as well need to also play a role. In situations like this, what role can they play specifically to also ensure that they are supporting the plans of the federal government?
So for me, part of the constitutional alteration I will ask for is to insert in our constitution power rotation agreement. You see, this has been on the plate, but we always wish it away. Because if you talk about the affirmative action, like women now, at every conference, I'm a gender activist. Well, I keep telling women groups, if you want to rise beyond this tokenism, it has to be in the Constitution. That's how Uganda did its own. Section 78 of the Constitution of Uganda specifically mentioned affirmative action. For this constituency, a woman must come. It doesn't say Kimberly will be the one, but a woman. In fact, it went to the level that even for reserved seats in the parliament in Uganda, they reserved 10 seats for the military, defense and military. They said these 10 seats, 2 of them must be women. They reserved 5 seats for the youth. They said 1 person must be a woman out of these 5 that will come out of this youth group. For the labor unions, they say 1 out of 5 must be. For persons with disability, they say 1 out of 5 must.
Yeah.
So deliberately they wrote it because they want to cure a malady. Now, Itodo, the question you asked, for the states, and I can cite almost 10 states that I know of, if there is no affirmative action, there will be domination, there will be no, many of the other tribes will just be, they will be playing second fiddle. Look at Kogi. Why didn't Yaya Bello wants to power to slip off his Ebira people now? You know the APC candidate is from Kogi Central, which is Ebira. Because he felt when the Igalas were there, they dominated us. So this is our own time, our local. We should also dominate. Another 16 years, let it be in Ebira land. But what about the Okun people? The Falekes of this world and the rest of them, who are also saying, we are also part of, remember the advocacy of Smart, the senator, the Smart at the end. So we are not conquered people in Kogi State. We also have a right to be governor. But assuming there is an affirmative action that says power should rotate among the 3 senatorial zones, you know when is your zone, when is the time for your zone. The same thing with Benue. Benue will always be dominated by the chiefs.
Yeah.
The Domas and the Gedes and the rest of them will continue to play second fiddle. So the same thing with Ogun State. The whole Ogun State now, the Yewa people in Ogun West, they have never been governor. Now it is alternate, power is oscillating between the Egba people and the Jebu people. So right now is the Jebu. They have done 1 term, they are on the second term.
Yeah.
So when it's 2027, when Obama will come out again, then the Yewa people will continue to say, but we are also part of this. So if there is an unconstitutional alteration, even if it's going to be for 100 years or for 50 years, let's also have sense of belonging. You know, my brother Kimberly Apollo, the GM of Radio Now Lagos, will say, even if it's for bragging rights. Now, our local Yorubas are doing Ashwebi, our local. How many of us have seen Tinubu in real life? How many of us can assess him? Even now that he's president. I'm not a card-carrying member of a party. Unless I get invited to any function where he will be, I'm not likely going to see him in 4 years. You understand? But that feeling, that is my kinsman that is there. That's all. That's what
It tells you that we haven't grown much. There's still a lot of work to be done in the country.
We haven't, unfortunately, but it's human psychology. It's a sense. Even I keep telling people, Obasanjo said yes, how did they profit the Southwest? The roads network were never done. Industries that were there collapsed under his watch. And the Yoruba man as Minister of Works, I remember Adeshaye Ogunlewe, I remember is it Wahab Dosunmu at some point. They are all from Lagos. They couldn't complete even the overhead bridge linking Lagos to Ogun State in Ota. The Lagos about the expressway down to Oyo, Ogbomoso, Ilorin, up to now has not been completed. We are the president for 8 years. When I went to Turkey to observe election in 2011, yes, I
saw the state of the roads.
Saw the state of the road from Port Harcourt International Airport, and as I traveled down to, and I said, oh, our vice president then was a governor here, and he's a vice president here, and look at the state of East West Road. I'm not sure that East West Road is completed as we speak. So
I think they have.
I'm not sure. But by and large, what I'm saying is that it's just for us to feel good. Even if an Igbo become a president, will he take all the resources of the federal government to go and develop the Southeast? No, it's not likely going to happen. But at least the Igbos will have a sense of belonging. So affirmative action is the way to go if you really want to give people that sense of belonging, irrespective of what they make of the power when they have it. But look at the Swiss. The Swiss people decided to have multiple vice presidents to represent different
Yeah.
The Germans, the French, the which other group is there? Just to give them sense of that.
So at the end of the day, all of the call is that sense of belonging and representation, and to understand that we're also a part of
We
it.
are also part
Yeah.
of this federation. That's just it.
All right, with Jide Ojo in the studio, looking at it's a conversation from born out from what the president said, but we're also projecting to the future to say how can we also address some of these things. And you have talked about affirmative action, which can be a policy direction, or is it legislation if we're looking
It
at
has
it?
to be a legislation.
It has to be a legislation.
Policy direction will not do
Well,
it. People
okay.
with the justice. Look, there was a policy decision made by Umaru Musa Yar'Adua to say that permanent secretaries and directors can only do maximum of 2 terms of 4 years each. It was a policy. The North kicked against it. Did you know what Buhari did? One of the first decisions he made after coming to power is to suspend that. And he never reinstated that. Today, you now have subordinate, you now have people who should have ordinarily, go on retirement because they have stayed for more than 8 years as director or as PAMSEC. They are still there because they became director at a relatively young age. And people who are their subordinates are now retiring ahead of them. And that was the malady that Umaru Musa Yar'Adua wanted to cure as at that time. But that's why policy will not do it. Remember, this social investment program, why did Buhari quickly rush an executive bill to the National Assembly to pass? To give legal backing to what he has been implementing since 2016. You understand? It's better done with legislation. In fact, not just any act of parliament, constitutional alteration, so that it becomes enforceable.
All right. Let's get to hear your thoughts on the conversation we've been having with our guests. Remember, it's also looking at the future agenda setting, born out of what he has said. We got his thought about the Inauguration Day speech, also shared dimension about prophecies, and then looking at national unity, which is something he emphasized on, the president, and to seeing how in future we can further enforce that, looking at the past, the present, and how we can get that semblance of unity to making Nigerians have a collective vision. Let's get your take on the conversation so far. Call us up on 0700 951 0000. That's 0700 951 0000. You can also call 0809 5974869 or our WhatsApp number 0809 9930137. We're on YouTube and Facebook at Nigeria Info ABJ. Let's read some messages.
All right, Lenny Martins right here says, I'm enjoying Mr. Jide Ojo. God bless you, sir. Your analysis is crystal clear. Well done, Adaigbo, Kim, and Deacon Itodo. I love your sincerity on last presidential election. May God bless you for Nigeria's unity. Let's watch and see how Nigerians unite and walk towards ultra marginalization. Peter Ume. Micah Ayuba says, really enjoying the conversation, watching live from Maiduguri. And also Omaga Namani, watching from Amangunze in Enugu State, says, good afternoon. The newly inaugurated president and governors should run an all-inclusive administration and give the interest of general populace a top priority. May God help us. All right, looking at YouTube right now.
All right, Ouch Noel says, good afternoon, please. Okay, we corrected that. Oludade Abiodun, good afternoon. I want to urge Mr. President to be steadfast in his policies and carry people along. Ayowo says, if Tinubu announced yesterday that fuel price would go down, these fuel marketers would have told us they were waiting for official papers to reduce their price, and now they didn't wait for that. So Ayowo preempted. Yes, we spoke at length yesterday on the subsidy removal. So we just thought to look at other aspects of the conversation, but it's something that we already see marketers respond to. There's already queue, there's already scarcity in good parts of the country, from Lagos to Kaduna to Abuja. Except for the Southeast, where I've not heard any report of scarcity coming from. It feels like every corner of Nigeria is feeling the
People are buying as far as high as 600 naira per liter.
Yes. So we'll get to see. So far, NLC has not made any statement. What they're just saying is fulfill your campaign promise. If they're going to come out and make a definite position as to a protest or not, or give him the benefit of doubt, we'll get to see how they all
But the
respond to
TUC
it.
and Apeman is saying that he should not by himself take away fuel subsidy. But if you think about it, looking at it, it's literally what the federal government, that's the former administration, spoke about continuously, stating that for 6 months,
Yeah.
that's the only timeline they'll be able to pay for fuel subsidy.
That's
So-
only what is budgeted for. Let's get to hear 2 calls and then get the response of our guests before we go on a break. Hello.
Hello, good afternoon, my sister.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, my brother, Itodo.
Welcome to you.
Good afternoon to our guest, which I can't remember his name.
Mr. Jide Ojo, go ahead.
But, my brother has said it all. That is our guest about the Igbos. Yes, it is true how Obasanjo came into power. Because they want to compensate Yoruba people. They now bring Alaye. My name is Obedient Moses. Sorry.
You have about 15 seconds more. We need to go on a break.
Yeah, my name is Obedient Moses. Wachibu. Now, they brought in Alaye and Obasanjo. Now, they compare.
Who's this? I would advise you call us back.
This is Nigeria Info.